My name is Megan Espinoza, and I work at SMR Architects, and I am HDC. I spend my days designing homes for the vulnerable in our community and have the extreme privilege of working with many of the providers in this room. When I decided to become an architect as a young girl after watching This Old House with my dad over and over and over, all I wanted to do was use it to help people. Growing up, I was taught the pretty basic idea that if you have something to give, you give it to someone less fortunate than you. And I took that very seriously. So, at the ripe old age of 11, I built this dream that one day I would become an architect and go build and design homes in Africa. Don't ask me why, but that was my only dream. And so that's what I did. After college, I spent 2 years living in Uganda and designing buildings for organizations serving the poor throughout East Africa. And I can say that I definitely arrived as the naive American, unaware of the realities that people in poverty live with on a day-to-day basis. And I can tell you that my perspective on everything changed in those 2 years. Anytime you spend any moments in remote villages and schools and refugee camps, it's impossible not to see how the world values some and not others. This was something I always knew, of course, but my privilege had allowed me to avoid having to deal with it in any real way. It made me so incredibly uncomfortable because all I saw were these kind and generous and beautiful people, but I knew the world only saw them as people who valued less than me, and it broke my heart. And so when I came back to the States, I was carrying this burden with me. I still had these skills that I wanted to use to help people, but I didn't know how to apply them in a meaningful way that wasn't harmful to the ones I was trying to help. And then I moved to Seattle and was lucky to get a job in affordable housing development. And my world opened up. Here were people fighting every day to empower the marginalized in our community through the simple act of giving them a home. And when I was able to move back into architecture a couple years later, I got an even broader perspective of all the work that is happening in our state. It's not all perfect, but after 7 years of seeing passionate people care for others, I feel more confident than ever that this is where I belong. But I'll be honest, lately I have found myself feeling pretty discouraged. Those homelessness numbers aren't getting any better, as you all know, and the building that I just finished has a wait list that is far, far too long. And the words being said by those who lead our country right now are making me really scared and worried. But I was reminded of who we work for just this past January. It's when we had that really cold spell at the beginning of the month, and I was coming home late. And when I reached my house, I saw a gentleman there, passed out on the sidewalk right in front of my home. And so I went in to get my wonderful roommates, and together we tried to wake him up, but we ended up having to call for an ambulance. And as they put him on the stretcher to take him away, all I could think about was how many people might have walked by and done nothing, and how grateful I was that I didn't come home at my normal time and I didn't miss him, and we were able to take care of him. We all know that his story is not unique in our city. There are many just like him. But I have thought about this man ever since. I see his face over and over and over, because I needed the reminder that he is who we work so hard for every day. I don't work for the paycheck, although it's nice. And I don't work for the good feeling that I get when people ask what I do, and they're like, oh, wow, that's amazing, which is also nice. But I work for him and all the people like him. My small role, combined with all of you, does matter. Sometimes I feel a little crazy thinking that we can create a world where everyone feels seen and valued and respected, but I want to keep working at it. I need to keep working at it. We are all separate organizations and companies working together towards that common goal of eliminating homelessness. That is a crazy, audacious goal, but I believe we can keep fighting for it. I believe it because we can do it together. We can make it happen. So let's keep encouraging one another. And when things get hard, because we all know they really do, let's be the kind of community that lifts one another up. You all have been such an incredible encouragement to me. Knowing that I'm not alone in this fight is such a tremendous, tremendous gift. So let's keep fighting together. Let's keep pushing forward. There's a lot more work to do. Thank you.